What's good, everybody? This episode of the podcast is sponsored by DistroKid. They are the go-to for digital music distribution and the easiest way for musicians to get their music onto Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, TikTok, YouTube, and more. They offer unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings, getting your music onto platforms and into stores 10 to 20 times faster than any other distributor. They help with cover song clearance, automatic splits, and they offer all kinds of tools and templates to help you get the most visibility for your releases. I dig this company and appreciate their business model that offers more features and tools than any other distributor while doing it at the most affordable price for solo artists, bands, DJs, studio artists, and any other creators that are making music or producing music in their home, and they offer label services as well. They've got 3 different tiers that they offer to creators that start as low as $22.99 a year. That's just $1.92 a month. And even their top tier is only $7.50 per month. And the best part about DistroKid sponsoring the podcast is they are offering Dan Cable Presents listeners 30% off their first year of service with DistroKid, making their affordable prices even cheaper for you. I will put that discount link in the episode notes. It will also be in my Instagram bio. Big shout out to DistroKid for sponsoring this podcast for more than 3 years now. Much appreciated. Now let's get into the episode.
Look down at the
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dan Cable Presents podcast. Thank you for tuning into the program once again. If this is your first time listening, thanks for checking out the show. You can find fresh episodes coming at you on Tuesdays. And if you want to help support this thing in a free way, you can do so by clicking subscribe on iTunes, clicking write a review, giving the podcast 5 stars if you feel like it is deserving of so. And that will help propel this thing into the tops of those iTunes charts, giving it more visibility on the national and international levels, helping strangers find the podcast. Just a great way to contribute to the growth and sustainability of this thing. Appreciate the hell out of all the folks that have already taken the time to do so. If you're not listening on Apple, just hit like, follow, subscribe wherever you are listening from. Tell a friend about the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you can hit subscribe there. Hope everybody is doing well out there. This week on the podcast, we've got writer, director, producer Addison Woodside is on the show to chat filmmaking and their Beaver State TV series, which is episode 1 of that TV series is premiering at the upcoming Panorama Film Festival right here in Portland, Oregon. It's the festival's 2nd year in action, I believe, and it's a festival that is happening all over the city starting April 9th to April 19th. It's a great way to tap in and check out some independent films of many genres. They even played the pilot episode to my Tuna Boy series last year, which was kind of a trip and very cool to get to see it with an audience. But like I said, first episode of Beaver State is playing at the festival. I've had the pleasure of getting to have a sneak peek at the episode. I've watched it a couple times now. Super fun, really well done. It's funny, it's cool, it's engaging, and it also shares some of the rich Oregon history, which is a big focus of the idea of the Beaver State TV series. I got linked up with Addison through our mutual friend and past guest of the podcast, Rachel Bracker, who is quite the talent, all-around film badass, incredible editor, and also advised on the script for this Beaver State episode. And I was looking to spotlight what was happening with the Panorama Film Festival, and Rachel recommended that I reach out to Addison and that she would be a joy to have on the podcast. And she was absolutely right. I had a lot of fun getting to know Addison through this conversation and just getting to talk to someone else in the film space and getting to hear the ins and outs of being a novice filmmaker, the struggles of it, how Addison's process has evolved, love for writing, and also just to get to hear about the joy that Addison gets from not only getting to, insert stories of her own experiences into the films that they're making, but also the the opportunity to also insert other people's stories into the filmmaking as well. So we definitely dive into the process a bit, talk about the first episode of Beaver State. We also talk about Open Signal in this episode, which is a Portland, Oregon-based film studio here that is a great resource to filmmakers and just helps with accessibility to get into the art. And just an opportunity if you're interested in making film, or you just want to be a part of a film crew and see what that is like. It seems like there's opportunities to volunteer to do those types of things. So if you're I don't know, if you're feeling that, feeling like something like that is inside of you and you just don't really know how to get into it, there are opportunities to do so. And I'll put all of the links for Open Signal as well as the Panorama Film Festival and everything Beaver State and Addison Woodside as well. Big thanks to Addison for being down to chat. Those links will be in the episode notes, and check out the Panorama Film Festival. It's coming up, just a week or so. The film festival is going to be here before you know it. If you're listening to this episode on time, then it's like a week away. If you're listening to it a week from its release time, then the Panorama Film Festival is probably already happening. So check it out. And with all that, we're going to get into this thing. Episode 468 of the podcast with Addison Woodside. Now let's do the damn thing. You don't need to pay attention to the camera at all. Okay. Yeah. You can just pretend it's not there.
I'll try
you know how to do on-camera stuff, Addison.
Yes. But I'm better behind the camera.
Yeah?
Yeah. I really got to force myself in front of that thing when I have to.
Yeah.
But it's just because I'm the cheapest actor I can find in this city. I don't have to pay myself, turns out.
You feel like you're at least getting better at it?
Watching our short, I'm like, I need to put a little bit more work into the acting part of this if I'm going to do it, because I was like, oh, everyone else is good but me. And I'm the creator of this. It's one of those, Seinfeld effect. Like, he was not the best actor on his own TV show. That's fine.
Yeah.
So that was a little humbling, but I was like, I think I can do this better next time. So it's kind of one of those things
That was not my takeaway from watching the Beaver State episode.
What was your takeaway?
I wasn't like, oh, Addison's awful actor.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
we gotta keep that behind the camera.
Yeah, man.
My takeaway, I thought it was fun.
Good.
I thought it's I appreciate the approach to maybe some of the more serious content, the serious themes.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot of levity to what it is, but it also presents something really important.
Yeah.
And it eventually gets to this, documentary portion.
Yes.
Almost.
Yeah. It swings. There's light, there's shade, there's comedy, there's a little heart.
Yeah. I wasn't it was hard to pin down, which I think is a good thing. Yeah.
Because when we met Malia, who's the director and the screenwriter, it's her story. And we were like, we're a comedy show. And she was like, I want to do a documentary about the spiritual connection to the Columbia River. And we
Yeah.
were like, okay, how do we do that but make it funny? Like,
Yeah.
can we make it funny? Is that allowed? And the more she started talking about like her experience going to like this river and fishing with her dad, like the story was just there. It's like fully based on her real life, and the comedy found itself.
Yeah.
And then we didn't want to take away the heart, because like there is this like really beautiful family and community part of the river, and I think that's like one of my favorite things about comedy and like sitcoms is that like they often are like a really nice way to talk about like interpersonal relationships. Like my favorite sitcoms always had that moment where, you know, characters fight and it's funny, and then they come back together and they're actually like, hey, you know, I care about you.
Yeah.
And so that's what we ended up doing, and it felt like very classic sitcom that way.
Yeah. So you're telling somebody else's story like throughout that episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it pretty clear to you from the jump on how you would do that?
It was a conversation that we had. So Malia is a first-time director and writer, Malia Martinez. We met her through Instagram DMs, as you do as millennials. We, you know, she wanted to work with us, which was awesome, because we knew that the first episode of Beaver State like had to be about a Native story. Like, you don't get Oregon without Native experiences. And so we were like, great, you want to direct? Awesome. Like, do you want to write? And she was like, I'd never written a script before. So we kind of like made a little writer's room with her, and myself and my husband, who's my producer as well, we kind of were just there to like bounce ideas off of with her and like actually write in the screenwriting software, like help her format it and stuff, so that part wasn't daunting. And that really helped. So a lot of it we just worked out. We spent 2 years writing the script, if you can believe it. So it really changed and grew. And that's when we were able to like find the heart of it. And that was just like building a lot of that time relationship with Malia, from not knowing her to knowing her for 2 years, and like being like, hey, like we relate to you. Like, there's some complicated relationships with like your dad. There's complicated relationships with like our dad. We like we're right there with you, girl. Yeah. So it was a lot of like building trust and like finding the story. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before we like dive into like what Beaver State is, I want to help like provide some context for like people listening. So tell me about like your early experiences with creativity as a kid. Like, was this something that you always leaned into?
Yeah, I wish that I had known about video more. Like, my parents really didn't touch like a video recorder at home. Like, we weren't the family that was like filming our vacations and stuff, so I didn't really have access to that. So like early days I was writing a lot of like books. Like, I wanted to be an author. And I loved like fantasy and obviously like kids, because I was a kid. I was like, I want to be a children's author at age 7. And so I always sort of knew that it was like writing for me, and I would like stay up late without my parents knowing and like write all the time. And so that was really like my first creative moment as a kid, and that really informed like where I would go next, but not in the way that I expected. Yeah.
So like what kind of pushed you towards film and pushing your like writing maybe towards that?
Yeah. I in high school there was like one elective called documentary filmmaking. And I, of course, knew that I wanted to do it. I was like starting to realize that I really loved having a camera. I did photography first a little bit, and then I had a DSLR that could like record video. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, there's something here. There's something about, being able to press this button and like have more than just a photo. And this documentary filmmaking class was just kind of a weird little elective where we could basically do whatever we wanted. And so it became more than just documentary. Like we started making music videos and like just playing around with all this stuff, like stop motion. I was really bad at that. And so I was like, okay, this is really cool. And then at the same time, I was like watching a lot of TV. I love TV. And so I didn't realize until my senior year that you could like be a TV writer. And then
That was like a job.
that's a real thing that you could do. And so my whole thing was like, I was trying to make myself a little bit more serious. I was like, maybe I can be an author on the side, but I'll be like an English professor. And then my senior year, instead of studying for my finals, I was watching 30 Rock, like exclusively over and over again. And I was like, maybe I should pivot. And I only applied to one school that had a film program, which was Pacific University in Forest Grove. Shout out.
All right.
And so I was like, that decided it for me. I was like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to do film instead of English, because I was like, I already could tell that I didn't want to be an English professor.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, who am I kidding?
Did you think being like an English major would like make you a better writer?
Yeah, I thought so. I really loved literature too.
Yeah.
Like I still loved reading and books. And so I was like, I could do this. I loved all my English teachers. Like they were the ones that also kept me writing and like really made me feel like that was a career that I could do. And then, yeah, I wanted to do that, but I wanted to have fun. And that was the thing about filmmaking that was like, oh, this is actually like fun. Like
Yeah.
It's not just sitting in a dark room writing all the time. You can actually go out and you actually like can work with other people, which makes it a lot better. And so I was like, this is the thing for me.
Yeah. What do you think you enjoyed about like having a camera in your hand, maybe even like in high school?
Yeah. In high school, I was doing a lot of very embarrassing, very personal, like music videos. Like I would make my own music video to like Royals by Lorde,
Oh,
and like
yeah.
in my basement.
Yeah.
And I was doing like, oddly enough, I was doing these little documentaries about like my community at the time. And this is where it gets a little weird because I was in China.
Okay.
I grew up in parts of Asia because my dad worked for Nike.
Okay.
Actually, so we moved from Portland to Vietnam to China. So at that time, my community was like this weird experience of like, hey, I am this like white person in the middle of China. And how do I relate to myself and like how do I fit in here? Because obviously like I'm not supposed to be here. That was like very clear for me. But that was a way for me to sort of like, I just went out and filmed in the park near my house and like talked to people with my limited Chinese, and like it was a way for me to like understand myself and my American culture as much as like not being in America.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And I see those now as like, oh yeah, I could always sort of like, what I always wanted to do was just like be able to talk about community mainly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something fun about having a camera that like also maybe like gives you, I don't know, license to just like roam around and talk to people. Or like, I go to a lot of music shows and it's always like fun to have a camera.
Yeah.
Because if you have one, I feel like people, they don't really like question it.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And you just like kind of get the access that you want.
Well,
like not in like an invasive way necessarily, but it just kind of like gives you license to like get really close to the stage and like and take a picture up there or film and I don't know, just like,
it gives you access in a weird way, which is awesome. And it like makes you super visible too, but that can be for the best. And in China, I was already super visible. Like people would come up to me and be like, Taylor Swift. And I'd be like, not really, but okay. And my dad who has his own thing. He's 6'10", so he was a white 6'10" man in China, and so people would come up to him and like measure themselves against him and like they wanted to take pictures with their family all the time. So already I was sort of like losing my anonymity, but I was like, this is kind of awesome because now I can talk to people and get out of my comfort zone a little bit how do I relate to a whole population that like we can only understand each other a little bit, and the camera was good for that. It was just kind of fun to just point it at everything that I was getting to experience because it was so weird and cool.
Do you feel like that experience living in those places even kind of informs like the work that you do now?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's just like I've always been or I wasn't until I lived in Asia. Like I really learned what it meant to be an American. I really learned what it meant to be a white person, and like being actually very aware of my race in a way that a lot of white people aren't when they're just like living amongst other white people like we are here in Oregon. And so I think that always just made me like more aware of who is like let in and like who is not. And it also just made me like, I was like one of 5 white people at my high school. Like everyone was Asian, there were African kids, like everyone was from a different country. There was so many languages. And so I was like, okay, like this is the future I want. It's like, this is actually a good thing. I can see what's good about this.
For sure. Mm-hmm. Do you think that also encouraged you to like want to find ways to tell other people's stories?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it was like, I've always thought that I have stories to tell, and I think that it's important to tell your own stories. And we're in this like really cool time in sort of like you can see it in films and TV, like the personal story is so much more highly sought after. But there's also this part of me that's like, I could tell my story for days, but like I'm actually interested in like other people and how do I bring them in a meaningful way where it's not just me telling their story. It's like me collaborating with them on their story, and like me just truthfully like using the privilege that I have of like, hey, I went to film school and like I know the conventions of like filmmaking. Like I can help you tell this story and like get you to the next level. And I think that that's what I love.
How do you feel like as far as like feeling, I don't know, like you have the ability to help tell people's stories? Like, have you found like I don't know, like, is there a right approach to doing it, or is it always different depending on who you are dealing with? Or
absolutely. It definitely has to be like a collaboration. It definitely has to sort of like, it has to feel good for everybody. And when it doesn't feel good, you know, that there are some times where it's like there's a misunderstanding, or like we just don't see each other yet. Like it's just really about being like, okay, how can we get to a place where we see each other? And we've been really lucky with everyone that we've worked with. Like it's worked out. It's been really good. But like there's definitely a wrong way to do it, and that's like, I think it's around ownership and like who owns it. And also like another huge thing for us was like, we're gonna pay everybody, and we're gonna like make sure that they know that they're supported in this. And a lot of it is also doing like the non-fun stuff, like me and my husband and my sister, who is also an executive producer on the show, like we're doing the logistics, and like that allows for people to really hone in on their story and their actors. And like that was another thing that was really awesome, because nobody wants to do the fun stuff, but I mean the non-fun stuff, but like it makes me feel better if we can do that, and then they're like actually able to work on the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, doing the not fun stuff is definitely a necessity, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's nice when somebody is spearheading and taking care of those things, and so that people can just like make the art.
And that's what's cool about TV, because TV is like a producer run thing. Like a movie is a director run thing normally. Like you get your Paul Thomas Andersons and whatever, and they're doing the whole show. Like it's their piece and it's their world. But if you have a producer, and you're typically in TV, every episode is directed by someone else, unless you're Ben Stiller and you want to direct every episode of Severance. But even he's like, I'm not going to do it this time. So yeah, you have more opportunities to collaborate just naturally. And there's a part where you're sharing more of the storytelling, and you're allowing yourself to have like trust in other people to like do this role and this sort of like bringing their creativity into it more naturally. And so that's why we wanted to do this as like an open source TV show, basically, because we were like, this is a good way where we can still do all the not fun stuff behind the scenes and make sure that it's still trucking along, and then allow people to come in and just do their art. Yeah.
You mentioned 30 Rock. What do you think your obsession was with that show? Like what resonated heavy? Because like that's a show about making a show.
Yes.
Your show is sometimes a show about making a show, and like even watching your thesis film, like that is also very much in that lane. So like what hits for you?
Yeah. I love process. I really do. I love being able to see it. And 30 Rock was one of the first places where you can really see, like, you can look at a writer's room and you can see them crafting the jokes even when they're making it a joke. And that was something that was like, oh my word, like I really care about this. And there's also just something about making something about something that makes it feel more real, because you're not trying to like make people co-sign like, okay, this is a story about just like a Native woman in a fishing spot in Portland. This is about the story of telling this story. And that just like gives it a little bit more realism. And every time I put a little bit more of my, myself into the work, it's always better. And so the same thing with like my first short film. It started as my sister and I being like, we want to make a movie about a movie. Like that was also sort of like in the indie film scene. That was something that was happening a lot at that time, which was 2011 when we had that idea. And then it wasn't until I was actually like a filmmaker in my undergrad at Pacific that I was like, well, now I actually have these cameras and like just the tools to do it. So let's do it. And we just, and that's when it became more real, because my sister was getting married at that time. And I was like, the problem is that you're getting married right now. And like you are planning a wedding and I'm trying to make a film. And that's the story. And like the more honest it is, it's just the better it is. And with this one, it's also like, yeah, my sister and I, don't see eye to eye on some things. We are also like playing that up for the camera, so we get along really well. But it's just like, it's more accurate to have like the process of making something and how it can affect what you're making. Just like in there.
Yeah. And just, it also kind of seems like there's this thing of the story is like not always necessarily like what you think it is. It's just like during that you're trying to make this like this film, but like the story is just like the dynamic between you and your sister is actually the special thing within it, and kind of like leaning into the happy accidents that happen along the way in the process.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think that is what we're like getting to capture is like, it becomes very real when you are talking about, like, we went to, for instance, in this episode, we went to the location with Malia for the first time where she, like, goes on this fishing spot. And it's almost completely inaccessible. Like, you have to walk down these train tracks into it. And then you have to, like, as you see us, like, go down this ditch into the shore of the river. And when we got there, we were like, oh, we have to put this in. Like, this has to be part of the problem, is that they have to walk all the way along these train tracks back and forth. It really does take you all day. And we, like, could barely get our film crews down there.
Yeah.
Which was scary and weird, but we did it. We figured it out. And it really just lends itself to creating the world of, like, hey, this is real, but this is also part of the story.
Yeah. Of you all just kind of being a little naive to, like, what you're getting yourself into a little bit.
Yeah. We, like, I was looking at Caleb that day that we went to the location for the first time, and I was like, we were shitting ourselves. We were like, this is the least, like, possible thing that we could do. Like, we're gonna figure it out, but, like, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was. So that was a gift, honestly, because we were just like, okay, the script we can add this.
Yeah.
So.
Your sister's name is Kaya?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Were you both always making things together, or, like, how has collaboration kind of evolved over time between the two of you? Because it seems like a really special thing that you get to share with your sister, making things. Yeah, we like to do very silly things together. And Kaya always had more of an acting background. That was her real passion. And so I got to, like, see her in plays in high school, and she was always the comic relief. She never got the lead. But that's true, because she's the funniest person I know. And so it wasn't until, we would always have ideas, and we'd never really execute them. And that's also part of, like, you can see that as part of the story, is, like, there's a little bit of hesitancy whenever we make something that we're, like, really committed to making it. And that's just true of doing anything by yourself creatively. Like, am I going to finish this thing that I started? That's really a huge question for me always in real life. And so I try to inject it in the work. And so, yeah, when we had that idea to make our first, film in 2011, we didn't do it. Like, we didn't make it. And it wasn't until I kind of, like, I was like, Kai, we're really going to do this. And, like, we're really going to, like, I'm actually going to sort of, that's where it's better that I'm more of, like, the filmmaker in the relationship, and Kai is just, like, a good actor. Yeah.
And she can just, like, show up on set and be completely, like, in the scene instantly in a way that I can't. And so that's why we collaborate with each other. But, yeah, it's been a long process to get us to actually, like, do stuff consistently where we're actually like, oh, we can do this. We can finish things. We can make things. That's so hard.
Can you tell me about some of the barriers maybe of being, like, a novice filmmaker early on? Because I was thinking about it, I don't know, watching your stuff and just, like, my brief experience of making, like, one semi-professional production with our mutual friend Rachel and Forrest.
Shout out Rachel.
It just seems like, I don't know, I know that technology has evolved for like all art forms, but I talk to, like, a lot of musicians typically on this podcast, and them making their own music seems to, like, really make sense, like the tools available to do that, like, you sometimes need a studio, you sometimes don't, like, if you have the right gear, you can kind of do it, and if you have the knowledge, you can do everything kind of on your own if need be, where, like, making film seems a little more complicated on the DIY side, like, so tell me about early days of exploring making film.
Absolutely. Yeah. Filmmaking is technical because it's sound and video and lighting, which is a bigger thing that I think people still realize.
Yeah.
It's really important. Like, it sucks that a camera can't see like an eye can. And I always sort of like mourn that when I'm looking at a camera still. I'm like, why isn't this like the human eye? Like, why can't we just walk around with normal lighting and not have to light this? But yeah, it's a weird art form to be so technical and to be so, unfortunately, like out of people's ability to DIY. It's really hard to. And so that was another thing where, you know, of course you can make a movie on your iPhone. I roll my eyes at that because people are often putting, you know, $100,000 lenses on their iPhone to make those iPhone movies. And so that's not real either. And people always try to convince you that film is more DIY than it is. Because I'll be honest, we had 2 episodes that we tried to make of Beaver State that completely failed. And for different reasons, but there was points when it was really just Kaya, Caleb, and I holding the camera, lighting the thing, acting in it at the same time, and it was not possible. And so it was kind of a humbling experience to be like, okay, we do need a little bit of money. Like, we can't just do this for $0.00. Like, we have to go and write grants and like fundraise. And we do need a little bit of people. Like, we do need people to help us do this. Like, we don't have all of the skills. And also, we're just like burning ourselves out if we try to do everything.
Yeah. Streamlining the production is like such a big thing.
Yeah.
Or just like streamlining your process for like creating any sort of art is so big. So I can't imagine like having to keep like jumping behind the camera or like jumping to a monitor and then also trying to be in the scene and making sure everything is working, and then maybe nobody is available to just observe the monitor while the thing is happening, you know?
Yeah, and exactly, and that's what went wrong with one of our other episodes, is that we filmed an entire day, a huge day. It was like the majority of the episode, and we have this weird sound thing that we can't fix. And because we didn't really have anyone on sound, like it was Caleb going between being the camera person and the sound person. And that's just like, that's part of the game too, is like those things that you have to figure out. And then, you know, when we did actually get a crew for this episode and I saw all of them there, it just like made me want to cry every time. I was like, thank you all for being here so much. Like, I couldn't thank them enough because yeah, it's true. Like, filmmaking has to be a collaborative art in the way that like music and visual art, like, they can be more singular. Like, filmmaking, you kind of have to bring people in at a certain point. Like, unless you make a very specific type of film, which is awesome too. There's some awesome films like that. Shout out my friend Alyssa Samuel, who made a project all by herself. She acted in it and directed it and edited it. It's called Rash, and it's out there. It's really good. But yeah, it is really hard. Like, you have to write your story to serve it. And when we wanted to obviously write a story that had more people in it, we were like, we have to have people.
For sure. Especially something like scripted, I would imagine, you know, like, it's really important to have like these people in place to help tell the story and get all the shots you want. Because even the Tuna Boy episode I made was like not a scripted thing, but it still required a crew of like 3 people and us going there several hours before, so a couple of the people could light up the space and crawl up like into different places and inside the restaurant, make sure that the lighting was solid, or I don't know, like Forrest. Shout out Forrest, because he's kind of the person who made me capable of like making this like a DIY thing. And this is just like a single shot, but if I did not have his knowledge about like the lighting thing, you know, it's like,
it's huge.
This space without the lights feels a little vibier than it does at the moment. But like, yeah, it's like
you wouldn't be able to see us.
Oh no, we would be so dark. Like
Yeah.
it would be ridiculous. Or just like setting it up so that like this monitor is here and I know that the red light is blasting. But I've definitely like had a few episodes where like I didn't get the focus right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Focus is
luckily
another
for
huge
me,
thing. Yes.
like it's not as consequential, I guess, as like you losing a day of shooting, because I can still like put this thing out. It's not that big of a deal that the person's face is slightly blurry, but like, yeah, it just seems like a crazy undertaking. And like, it seems like, you know, like you're burning so much time even if like your production goes the way you want it to, if the storytelling doesn't happen the way that you want it to, it seems like such a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and that's why it's like it sucks that like the answer to most of that is money, because then you can afford more crew and then you have more people to actually help with these huge lighting rigs and like things. But it's true. Like that's the hardest part about filmmaking. That's why I'm so passionate about making it more accessible, because it's like it is the one art form that like you have to have some money put into it, and like you have to have people. And like that's the good part about Portland, is that we have so many willing people who want to do film, and they just need the opportunities. And so that's why we got an open source TV show.
Yeah. So what do you think like making it accessible looks like, or like what has helped you along the way?
Yeah, I mean, grant writing was a huge thing that I learned to do. That was, you know, luckily in Oregon, there's also a lot of opportunities for that. So that's like another great reason that Oregon rocks, and that it's great to make a show about Oregon. And then like, you know, we started just sort of slowly crowdfunding very shyly, because we're also still, you know, just so shy about our work. But we have this little Patreon that's awesome, and you know, people give us $1 every month and we make a TV show out of it, and like all of it goes directly to pay our crew and staff. And so I'm hoping that people get into that world more, because Netflix prices are going up, folks.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
like, hey, if you could make your own TV show, if you could be like a investor in your own TV show and get to see it made and get the, you know, behind the scenes and feel like you're a part of it and get your name in the credits, like I think that's really awesome, and I think it's the future. My big dream is that like we do have independent filmmaking in the same way we have independent television, and like that is something that is still sort of like a new frontier of like, what is independent television? Like, it's not on Netflix, it's not on Hulu, maybe it's on Tubi.
Yeah.
Shout out Tubi, we would love to work with you. But like, yeah, it could just, you know, it can be on YouTube, it can be on Portland Public Access channels, which is where Beaver State will be. And it can really belong to the people.
Yeah.
That's our dream.
One of the things that you seem to tackle a bit in the thesis film is like getting your vision out of your head and onto the screen.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about how that has evolved for you, like since making that film maybe to this first episode of Beaver State?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think because I started as a writer, in a weird way, there's part of me that's like not a visual thinker, which is really stupid that I'm in filmmaking, the visual art. But I love paradox and I love being bad at things. And so that was a huge part of what I wanted to talk about. And I see like filmmakers doing Q&As after their film. They're like, how was making this? I just want them all to be honest and be like, this sucked. And I think some people do that now, where it's like, it is really hard to do. And it's also just like, yeah, there's something about perfectionism and having something in your head and having vision, and then the weird world, like the world is so weird. It's never connected to how I think about the world. I just have a weird spacey head. But for the most part, this episode of Beaver State was really like a beautiful thing where a lot of things were coming out of our heads into the world, and it was happening so like beyond my dreams. But there was one scene where we were like sort of in that part where we're kind of like filming the documentary, but it's still the scripted part where we're talking to Hannah's father. And I remember I had my back turned to the camera for that scene as just one shot. And the whole time I'm like crying because the shot doesn't look how I imagined it. And my DP, Spencer Pond, who's awesome, they were like, they came up to me afterwards. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, I literally had to like leave set. I like gathered some flowers. I like gave them to the Columbia River as like an offering. And I was like, I just have to release this feeling of my head is never going to match the real world like 100%. And it's still good. It's still better. But I was like, yes, to my DP, I was like, I'm okay. Like, this is just me being weird. And, you know, it's just never what you expect. But when you kind of, again, like, it's about just letting the process happen and finding what works in the moment and saying, like, hey, this is actually cool in its own way. And it's still a trip. It's just trippy,
yeah.
You know, when that happens.
You needed a moment.
Yeah.
You needed to be on your touch grass shit for a second.
Honestly, literally, touching the ground was very helpful after that, because I was like, yeah, the whole thing is that you're in your head.
Yeah.
And your head just like, yeah, your head can play like crazy. Like, yeah, that's my favorite part about writing, obviously, is that, yeah, I'm doing all this in my head and it doesn't matter. And then filmmaking is just like this gross, nasty process of like bringing this into the real world and being like, oh, like there's gonna be nasty fish that you have to touch with your own hands.
Yeah.
You have to get those from Costco and bring them and touch them over and over again. And then you're like, we need towels and we need hand sanitizer. And we're like, I'm so sorry to my cast and crew that have to touch these fish. And so, yeah, it's always a lot cleaner when it's in writing than when it's in the real world.
And then you got to trust in the editing process too, or like remember that part is going to happen too. That will hopefully bring your ideas a little more together.
Yes. And that was another great moment of collaboration, because before I had done everything myself on the Woodside Sisters Present, I did all the editing to its detriment, like, and color grading and things that I had never done before. And so this was another time where I like got to trust in people, and like them helping us do that part was just so much better.
Yeah.
And it was like really awesome to see people do their work, and like shout out to, again, like editor, sound designer, and colorist. Like, whew, those are all art forms in themselves.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for the way that it came together.
Do you appreciate that you did have to do those things on your own at one point, though? That, I don't know, I would imagine that your vocabulary around communicating what you do want is a little bit better because of that?
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit. And like, and it's really just more the respect, like all respect in the world to post people, because it was, the learning was, oh, I can't do this. And like, when I see it done well, I respect the game so much. And yeah, these little invisible things in film. That's the other thing about film, is that like there are these pieces that have, like, the goal is that they feel so seamless that you don't see them and you don't think about them. And to pull all of those out, like the train sounds in this, and like the fish sounds and the water sounds, and the way that our sound designer Jenny Greb, she was talking about like building this really beautiful soundscape for us that was natural, that sounded just like water, was like, oh my gosh, like that's amazing. Like I didn't even do that in my first film. It's just, you know, silent and then there's music, and so or there's just dialogue, you know. So those are really beautiful parts of the process as well.
So what was like? How did this Beaver State project come about?
Yeah.
Like, what was the vision?
Yeah.
When did the idea come about? And like, what do you feel like you're trying to accomplish? I guess with this series.
Yeah, I love this story because I think it's just really perfect in how everything landed. But I went to film school in LA in 2018 at Loyola Marymount University, and I did their writing and producing program, which was awesome, and it was exactly what I wanted to do. Writing and producing for television, actually, so like literally specifically TV. And the whole time I was there, whenever I would go to an event or we would have, speakers come talk to us, they would say, make your own shit. And basically you don't need this education. And so the whole time I was like, wow, like, why did I come here?
Yeah.
And I had actually had another director, really a well-known director, Liz Allen, who works in TV. She's an awesome woman. She told me, like, hey, don't go to film school yet. Like, you haven't had enough, like, on-set experience. And I was like, but I'm already accepted. And, like, I already kind of told him I was going to go. Again, it was, like, one of those timing things where I just realized I wanted to do film after I had submitted my applications in high school. And, like, the same thing where I had already sort of committed to this. And so, yeah, I spent 3 years also learning lessons that were super important. But at the end of it, my classmates were pitching these, like, big TV shows that they wanted to go make at, like, Netflix and what have you. And I was like, I want to do a show that I can make by myself. Like, I want to do a show that I can make in my backyard. And I ended grad school during the pandemic on Zoom University. So I was in Portland, not even in LA anymore. And I was like, I want to talk about Oregon. I want to talk about this bubble that's like, there's Portland and then there's the rest of Oregon. And It's just kind of like a big question mark to me because, yeah, I'd grown up in Portland, but I'd also grown up in the rest of the world. And I didn't really get to explore my hometown that much growing up. And so that was super important to me. And I was like, this is going to be a 15-minute web series. And I remember my professors being mad at me because I wasn't pitching them a big network show at the end of my grad school experience. And they were like, well, can you make it a full show? And I was like, yeah, I can, but it'll never get made. I was like, if I don't make this myself, it would never get made. Like, just by the chance that, like, it's kind of too close to Portlandia. Like, that was my part of my pitch, was that it was the anti-Portlandia. But, like, yeah, that's true. Like, there's, elements that would be very similar about it. And I just remember, like, that was my big project at the end of grad school. And I was like, I feel so, like, no one understands this in this context. Like, it doesn't make sense for network TV. But why does it have to? Like, it doesn't. And I already was sort of interested in, like, what was happening in Portland public access TV. And I was already, like, trying to pick up the phone and, like, figure out if I could make it for that. And that's all I wanted, because I knew that, like, my audience would just be people in Oregon. Like, yeah. Of course we care about ourselves. I think that's another thing that I really like about storytelling and, like, personal storytelling is, like, when you have a specific audience, it's actually a really good thing because people get so into it. And, like, that was one of the things that was exciting to me from the jump, was, like, if I tell a story about every little town and part of Oregon that doesn't get a shout out normally, that, like, felt neglected by Portlandia for 8 years because they never went there, I was like, that's kind of awesome, because people like hearing their stories. And, like, there are so many stories that didn't get told and don't get told. And I think that there's just so much room to be hyper specific now these days. And so that's when I was just like, I'm going to do this. And then I did it. And it did get made. So, and no shade to my classmates, but none of their projects have gotten made in the 5 years we've been since grad school. They are all sort of, like, either, like, trucking up the, like, industry ladder. They're like assistants, and they're doing cool shit, of course. But I was like, I just want to make TV. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do the other shit. Like, to be honest, like, I'm not going to be a good assistant. I suck at that. And so I was like, and I don't want to live in LA, and I don't want to pay LA rents, and I love Portland, and I love Oregon, and
Yeah.
I want to live here.
So what do you think, like, what does it look like to tell these different stories of Oregon when you're brainstorming, and like, are you just kind of thinking about like, oh, we can go to this small town in
Yeah.
Brownsville, or like
Yeah, it definitely starts, with what we're interested in. We kind of did like a big brainstorm for the season that, of course, can like grow and change with like who we meet, because ideally we want to meet filmmakers and different sort of artists in each town and have them shape the stories. But, we do kind of want to like have a compass to sort of like point us in a certain direction. And there was just sort of, there are things that we knew that we were interested in, like, for example, like, I come from a like Christian background, super Christian, and I lived my whole life like that for 20 years, and then I completely switched and changed my mind. And so we were really interested in like different spiritual, like, there's a lot of woo-woo people in Oregon and like on the coast, and like the McMinnville UFO festival, for instance, like that really draws an interesting crowd. And then like and then like finding things like, there's one Planned Parenthood in Ontario, Oregon, and it's the only place to get an abortion for 200 miles. And those things were like instantly like, yes. And then another one that is the big one is the big one. I think that's another thing that like the show is hopefully like, the point is to bring people together, hopefully. And I think we can all agree that we're terrified of like an earthquake.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect all of us, or a lot of us. And so that's another episode that we want to do in the future of like, can we survive this thing? And how do we survive this thing? And should we be doomsday prepping? Like, or are we just gonna, we'll see what happens. so yeah, there's so many things, and so many little, like niche communities, like, there's so many niche communities that are like, Southern Oregon has its own vibe. Eastern Oregon, crazy different vibe than that. Whether or not they want to be Idahoans is a whole thing that I really want to get into too, because it's like, what makes us a state? What makes us a family if we are? What makes us a community if we are? Can we sort of like solve the problem of everybody hates Portland, or like everybody hates rural Oregon, or like whatever that animosity is there a pathway forward? And also like, shout out to people who are living in rural communities that are not white, or like are not part of that culture, and they have to exist because that's the only place they can afford to live. And like, that's really interesting to me. That's what I really want to pull out, is like, there are these very diverse perspectives here that are really going unheard. And it's like, a lot of people have to live in places that they don't agree with the politics, or like the mainstream culture. So
yeah, it is kind of a trip though. Like this state, I think like Washington is very much like that as well. Where like there's Portland, and then there's the rest of the state, and then there's like, or there's the rural areas versus the coastal areas, and it all does feel pretty different from one another. And
it's like, it's a question that I still have, is like, should we be united if we're these United States, and what does that look like, and how do we actually just start having those conversations? Because I think the biggest thing that I've been thinking about is just like, the conversation is happening without people actually talking to each other. it's like they're commenting online, Portland's hell, and they're like hearing it from the government.
And they've never been here
And they've
before.
never been
Yeah,
here.
it's incredible.
They live in Tualatin or like
incredible.
they're coming from like Oswego, and like and yeah, it's a huge question, but it's like, can we actually like talk to people? And there's a specific part of like Portland and Oregon and Pacific Northwest culture that's like very passive aggressive. And I think that goes back to like, you bring a camera out and you have to talk to people face to face in a world that's very online.
Yeah.
You are now actually like creating a conversation and giving people like the opportunity to sort of face these concepts that are very outside of them in a way more personal way, which I think is huge. It's super important if we want to do anything in this world.
I think that's hopefully like a good way to like bridge the gap, you know, because like there's like these very silly elements of your this like first episode of Beaver State.
Yes.
But there's also like really important content about, you know, the indigenous history of like this land, and obviously like people understanding the history of things is important to like informing the narrative in their head, you know.
Whenever I'm talking about the show, I always have to be like, and it's a comedy at the very end, because I'm like, we're talking about like abortion and earthquakes and politics, and it's like, and it's funny and it's heartwarming, and that's the thing that I always come back to. Is like, it is these big things, but the best way to do it is by making it funny, and the best way to do it is to pull out like how absurd it is. And I think that's what we tried to do with the first one. And just sort of like, it's so absurd that like even Native people, the way that they get to tell their stories is often by like these very, you know, like OPB. I love OPB, but it's like, yes, they have to present themselves in a way that is so for like a respectability sort of sense, because that's, you know, how they get heard. But there needs to be levity, you know. We have to invite levity in to everything and allow there to be a more three-dimensional view of Native experiences. They're not all just, you know, like for OPB, for that audience. Like, we should have stories for everyone. Yeah I liked how the
father-daughter relationship is like explored there too, where he's just like, she doesn't care about the fish, like this is so meaningful to me, and she doesn't like really care, and like
and it's like, it's complicated because like she does care, she's having problems with you, like that's the thing that's like so hard about it. And that was, you know, true, really true. And that's the other thing, that like truth is so helpful in that regard, because it was like another thing that we sort of had conversations with Malia. Like, Malia was really afraid of like, you know, representing her entire culture. And it was like, girl, like, you are representing yourself. And like, this is your story, and like, we are here for you. And like, the more we tell the truth about what you're experiencing and how, you know, how this feels, the more like you don't have to worry about representing everyone. Yeah,
for sure. How do you feel like you're like approaching something like that? Because like, obviously, like, you don't want to like put someone in a position where like you're not asking them to represent their entire culture. Like, how do you put somebody at ease in doing something like that, and like letting them know that like that's not really the point of the thing?
That was, again, that's what having a lot of time to tell this story helped, and like building that relationship, because it was just a lot of conversations. Like, there were a lot of moments of doubt of like, does this joke work? Like, does this, you know, is this gonna land? Does this feel authentic? And we had a lot of those conversations, and we were just always checking in. And that's why, like, we didn't mean this take 2 years to write the script, but we were mostly doing it on Zoom because Malia's like back and forth from Portland to Eugene too. So that just kind of spaced it out naturally. And yeah, it was really like there were moments of doubt, and it was really getting back to the truth of you are just you have this unique experience, and letting the story be true, like letting it have the truth of it. And I'm just really grateful that she trusted us with her story, and that again, it's like whatever you need, like whatever, we were there to provide the support of like, we will get the fish from Costco. Like, it's the little things that you don't have to think about in order to, she was like spending time with her actors and like getting to know them, and basically the character of Hannah is her in a sense. So they really got to like bond and, you know, talk a lot about their experience. And that's a whole nother conversation of like how our actors that we found from the Native community at large sort of just like kind of found a place in this really beautiful way. And they brought their own experiences, and they have their own really awesome stories. And they were also like hugely like impactful to how we told the story. So I'm very grateful for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have like all these non-acting scenes as well, where you're just like kind of going out into the community and speaking to these people, like how important this land is. We bought a lot of salmon that day. We bought salmon from every single person that we talked to, and everyone, like it's just a really awesome community, and like they know and they want to represent themselves well, and they're doing such important work with like actual salmon conservation. Like they are the reason that we still have salmon, and I'm so grateful for all of them. And there was also like an interesting piece where a lot of them were like from the Washington side, and we were like, oh, should we talk about them? Like, this is Beaver State. And then I was like, borders are not real. like this is their it's the
land,
same river.
literally. Yeah. Like we made this stupid idea to like split this up, like. So yeah, we had those conversations too, whereas it ended up being funny in a way that it was like, it kind of forced us to be like, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't really matter if they're from Washington or Idaho, or like some of our actors, you know, were from, New Mexico. They're from different tribes, but you know, they have a shared experience of what it means to be Indigenous in America. And they brought their own cultures and experiences.
In trying to like, I don't know, thinking about like some of the topics that you're covering in this episode, or like your future ideas, are you thinking a lot about like how to not talk down to people in the way that you're communicating these things? Because I would imagine like, I don't know, it's easy. I would imagine it's easy for a lot of these things to like resonate with the people who already feel like these things are important, and maybe like kind of your own echo chamber of things, but like bridging that gap to the other side. So like how is that like accounted for maybe in the way that you're going about the storytelling? Well,
it's funny because we talk up to people. I'm like, anything you tell me is right. Like, I want to hear this story from your perspective, and like, if that's true for you, I believe it 100%. And like, I think of the influences on this show are like Conan O'Brien, like Conan Without Borders, and like his whole process of like, I'm the idiot.
Yeah.
And that's what Beaver State allows us to do, because Kai and I are the idiots. Like, it's very clear. Like, we're the fish out of water. And that helps immensely. And like, my joy of my life is getting to play the idiot, because it's true. Again, truth.
She's dumb, everybody.
I'm really stupid.
Real dummy.
Yeah. And that's not a joke. because that's where the show comes from, the fact that like I never got to experience these different parts of Oregon. I really have a question mark. Like, I know more about Guangzhou, China than I know about a place that is like 3 hours from me.
Yeah.
And that's weird to sit with. And then it's like awesome, because I'm like, like, I've never been to Crater Lake. Like, I haven't been to a lot of places in Oregon that I really need to go to. And so I want to go to those things like almost like an alien would. Like this is my first time touching down on Earth, and like I'm just taking this for what it is. And getting, you know, my upbringing allowed me to like have a little bit of separation from that. Like, I don't think of myself as just American, although I have to be. I was born in Singapore. Like, I wasn't even born in America. So I really don't feel like there's anything that's really holds me here. And so that's the best part about it, is that I can just go to these different places and be like, I'm experiencing this for the first time. Like, we're planning on maybe going to the rodeo in Sisters, Oregon. And I feel like, yeah, you kind of naturally feel like you are touching down in a place that you've never been before. Yeah. It would literally be our first rodeo. So we are going to like make a little Beaver State short about that, I think, because it is so foreign to me. Like, these concepts of that should be ingrained of like yeehaw are not.
Yeah.
And so I just want to, you know, experience it like it's the first time.
It's very easy to exist in your own bubble of the thing, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know you're obviously like telling other people's stories, but like what has it been like to maybe like insert your experience into these things, and like what is maybe like important for you to get to express along the way? Or is that part of you like kind of getting to view everything with this like lens of maybe being like that alien touching down and experiencing these things for like the first time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think it's really important that this show is about me and my sister, because that really grounds it, and like that part is really true for me personally. And there's a sort of that's where there's sort of like this juxtaposition of like, here's my little life and it's really tiny, and then here's everybody else's experiences, and by like kind of mixing them up, we'll just kind of like shaking that whole mess together. That's where you kind of find the stories, and you find like, okay, here is how I relate to this, how I don't relate to it. Like, those two things are very important. And what I can do to sort of like, the whole thing is that I really wanted to get out of my comfort zone with this. It really worked. I really did. And I'm going to keep doing it. And that's what like excites me and also scares me. Like, I've never been to Eastern Oregon. I've never been to these places. But yet, like, I have the privilege of like being white, and if I went there, I could kind of fit in. Like, you know, I could kind of pretend. And that's what it's like. That's, you know, my whole life was either that, like when I would come home from China and for the summer and be in Portland and just kind of like pretend that I wasn't a weirdo.
Yeah.
And then the rest of my year was being like, oh, I am very aware that like I'm a white person, and like I'm in a place where I don't belong and I don't speak the language, and like I really wish I did, and I wish I was smarter, and like that was my whole life. So I feel in the same way where I'm like kind of like I can pretend, but I can also be like, I am not from here.
Very polar opposite experiences. No doubt.
Yeah.
So first episode is playing at the Panorama Film Festival.
Yeah.
Is there an official date on when?
Yes,
that
it's already
happens?
sold out.
Hell yeah.
April 19th, but we're going to do a full festival run.
Cool.
So the best thing for everyone to do is follow us on Instagram.
Okay.
Follow us on Patreon.
I'll put all the links in the episode notes so it's easy for people to find it. And then is there any sort of timeline on like when it will be available to the general public? Yeah, as soon as we get some festivals under our belt, we will put it on our YouTube. Sweet.
And yeah, if you pay $1 a month, you can watch it on Patreon. So that's a cool thing too.
You should do that.
Yeah.
It's $1.
That's $1.
That's $12
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
To watch something that you put so much time and energy into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to try to do some like shorter form things and have longer form things so that there's like a good mix of, because we're just finding out that there's so many stories to tell.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. It's just like, I want to tell all of them. So that's what makes me excited, is that there will be lots and lots of things coming out.
Yeah. It looks incredible. Like it feels so fluid. Like, you know,
yeah. Good.
It was like really enjoyable
yeah.
to watch. Like I watched it a couple times just to like try to take away
Can I say
different things.
Can I say something a little controversial?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've just been thinking about this, but it's like, as I'm like submitting to these festivals, right? A lot of people make short films.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever like willingly watched a short film before. They're kind of hard to get into. Like.
Yeah, they can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone wants you to watch their short film, it's like, especially if they're like, hey, this is my 20-minute short film. You're kind of like, whoa. But if you're like, hey, this is my sitcom. This is my TV show.
This is the first episode.
This is the first episode. This is 20 minutes of comedy.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, whoa, I want to watch that.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing about it being sort of like an open source, like anthology series. Like it's a series, and it's kind of like you kind of get the safety of like structure. Like you're not walking out into the unknown every time. You kind of have like, okay, this is a comedy show. And I think that that's also kind of like I'm the like advocate for independent television and like the future of that. And like I think that's the way to go. And I think if more indie filmmakers were like kind of got on the vibe, like they would have a bigger audience if they could like talk, look at TV. Like TV is still an underrated art form. Like people don't think it's incredible art. And it's like, come on, you guys, what are you watching at night? What do you want to throw on? Like, you don't want to throw on.
Yeah.
I won't say a name, but there's like, it's harder to get into an art film than it is to like 10 episodes of The Office.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It does feel like, there are some barriers there. Like I would imagine like anybody that's just like, I do have this idea for wanting to make something, and then kind of maybe them stewing in their head about like, but how do I do something like that? So like you do a lot of work at Open Signal.
Yeah. I work there as well.
Is that like something you would recommend people look in?
Absolutely.
Like what would you, what is your advice to like maybe somebody like listening to this and they're like, oh yeah, I do have like interest in maybe filmmaking or even being a camera operator or all of the jobs that like making something like an episode of Beaver State entails.
Yeah. Talk to me. You can find me at Beaver State Show at Instagram.com. Slide into the DMs. DMs are open. That's really like our production company is a nonprofit with the goal of helping people have on-set roles and helping people enter into the film industry without having to go to film school, because film school costs so much money and it's stupid. And I love it, but it's stupid. And those two things can exist at the same time. But Open Signal is great, and that it's also a suggested donation to become a member. They have orientations, and then you kind of get pulled in and you can take classes, and everything's free and the equipment is free. Like that helped us so much. We were using their equipment to make this show, and it was free for us to rent. So do it.
Yeah.
And it's never too late. You're never too old or weird or don't know enough. Really anyone can make film and TV, and you should do it.
And there's like studios available there where you could like film a talk show or something if you wanted to.
Absolutely. Like, yeah. I mean, there have been really cool shows there lately. There's music showcases all the time. There are talk shows, and there's really cool stuff happening there. So I think that's another thing. Like, I want people to invest in like their local TV. you can stream it online at the opensignalpdx.org, which is really cool. And I'm hoping that they're going to they're doing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
I can say shit, but I didn't. For some reason, I censored myself. They're doing a lot of cool shit. And there's a lot of cool creators that are doing stuff in Portland and Oregon. They need our support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congrats on making the thing, because it sounds like there's a couple failed attempts.
Yes.
And I think those things can be hard to push through sometimes when you spend so much time, and to actually have the courage to keep going is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, and I appreciate it. I'm just so excited for everyone to see it, and the opportunity to keep making it is just huge. And I think if you have a story to tell, if you want to tell me what, I'll look to camera. If you have a story about Oregon that you want to tell, ring me up, drop a line. We are available for you.
Is writing still your favorite part of the thing, or has that changed over time?
I think it's what I like about it is writing with other people, and that was huge. Being in a room with not just me but Caleb and Malia and getting to bounce off each other, that's another part of TV that I love, and I recommend that for again, I've been trying to get some groups writing together, even on their own projects, but just together. There's something about that accountability that's huge, because it's so hard to write by yourself in your little hovel. So I still love that part. I love making it. I think my favorite part is maybe it being finished. I think that's my favorite. I'm more of a destinations girl than a journey girl, as it turns out.
It's the rewarding part. Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me.
Thank you
for
so
letting
much.
me watch the episode too. It was a pleasure to
you
get
are a guinea pig,
to check it out. And I will certainly put all of the links in the episode notes so people can keep up with you and contribute to that Patreon. Addison, we end every episode of the podcast with the guest saying the tagline for the show, which is "It's a program." And it's just the way that my grandfather says the word program. He always says program. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to understand the pronunciation of why people do that. I just heard somebody else, I think I was listening to a podcast, and somebody else said the word program as well. I don't know where it comes from. It doesn't seem to be generational or necessarily regional. It's just an incredible thing. It's an ode to Grandpa. So if you could deliver, it's the one time I'll ask you to look on that camera. If we could get it's a program, you can deliver it however you would like.
Okay. Whew. Here comes the acting again. It's a program.
You nailed it. You did it. That's Addison, everybody. Beaver State is the production company and show and all of the things, and all the links will be in the episode notes. And that's the Jelly Jams, and we will catch you on the flip side, Portland, or wherever you are listening, watching from.
Yes.
Cool. We did it.
Yay.
Great job.
That was so fun.